Yeah. Jesus. Orange bastard.
Being a lad. You're not wearing your flip-flops. No, I understand that, but they can come to me about that. I'm from the area, so...
Listen. Jesus Christ.
Do you know that carrots are orange because of King Billy?
So what?
What is happening? Paddy McDonnell here, and we are about to do another episode of Paddy's Fuck You and Your Exhaust! Yeah, we're about to do another episode of Paddy McDonnell's Taxi Tour, and this week our special guest is Mr. Thomas Green, the comedian from Australia. So, Stephen, welcome to Belfast, my friend.
Hello.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know who's in the back, it's Mr. Stephen Green, comedian from Australia, which you were on our podcast and everybody fucking loved you on it.
How did you come to Stephen?
I was waiting to see what he would say. This is the thing in Belfast where you don't get your fucking first name.
Oh, you get what? You get a Belfast name?
Yeah, we're all calling you Stephen Green.
Stephen Green.
Because in Dublin there's St. Stephen's Green, so you're getting called that.
All right, Stephen Green.
No, it's Thomas Green, everybody in the back. But we call him Tommy. Does anybody call you Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah. What's your wife call you? Can't.
Sir. No, okay. She calls me. So when she's saying something serious, it's Tom.
Right.
But our name for each other, we call each other Bub.
Bub?
Bub, yeah.
Is that the wee pet name, too?
Yeah. So we're both Bub. But then, yeah, if she says sometimes she'll say something like just in conversation, and she's illustrating a point, not argumentative or anything like that, but she'll say, Tom, and I'll go, whoa.
Oh yeah, it's serious.
Whoa. I was like, why? And she goes, yeah, but I like calling you by your name. I was like, yeah, but I'm Bub to you. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get you. Like, my wife's never called me by my proper name, which is Patrick. Like, the only people that call me Patrick is my brother, my mother, my father, and my sisters.
Right. And what is Erin?
Most people call me Paddy.
But does she have a pet name for you?
Cunt.
Yeah, I love it.
No, pet name.
Come here, my
Love.
cunty
She
dude.
calls me Love, maybe.
Love, yeah.
Birdie.
Well,
Some call me Birdie. Like Stephanie
I was always
doesn't.
Tom as a kid, but in my family home, and it still is. My parents call me Tomo.
Tomo, so they don't even call you Thomas.
It's always been Tomo.
So nobody really uses Thomas.
No. Oh well.
So me calling you Stephen was all right then.
It's fine. Yeah. I never haven't heard Thomas
Stevie.
a long time.
And then the next time we did Stevie, and then Steve, and then
Well, everyone who knows me through comedy calls me Thomas.
Thomas.
Tom kind of got phased out because I was always Tom. All through school, growing up, everything, I was always Tom. And then it became Thomas in 2012 because I went to do my first ever show, Hour, at the Adelaide Fringe Festival, and Tom Green
was on.
So I had to go by Thomas Green because otherwise, people
would have got,
Yeah. And that was it. I just went with Thomas Green. And then ever since then, I was like, actually, do you know what? I like Thomas, like the full name. But then all the Scottish people, it's Tam.
Tam. That's a Glasgow thing, isn't it?
It's all the family there. It's Tam.
Which, do you know much about Belfast?
Yeah, I do actually. I know you've had a couple of arguments. and you're good at building ships.
Yeah, you see, the Catholics and Protestants, they have pet names for each other, but when there's trouble, you get the full. Like most of the time, Protestants call Catholics Taigs or Fenians.
Yes,
and that's their wee pet name for us, and then we call them Huns.
Yeah.
Or orange bastards.
And so because...
But when we're being serious about it, like when they're in trouble, go, listen, use Protestants, listen, use Catholics. We'll give a full title.
Oh, the full title.
Full title.
Okay, so apart from... All right, okay.
But everybody thinks that this is a religious thing here. That wasn't the case at the start.
Right.
The English came, took over the land, and then where we are, this is Ulster, there's 4 provinces in Ireland, and Ulster was always the hardest for them to try and take. Ulster was the place where they fought the hardest, and it was the hardest land to try and get.
Right.
And it was good land. So what they actually done was they flooded here with settlers from England, Scotland and Wales, and and took Ulster. So it ended up being a Protestant state because they brought that many here.
When you say took it, do you mean
like fought and fucking took over the land?
Like, so it was hostile, hostile takeover?
Of course, they just landed here in boats fucking over 800 years ago and just went, we're having this. Do you know what I mean? And they own practically all the island.
Yeah.
I mean, if you still go down south, there's still big manor houses and there's still a lot of stuff that they control. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's still lords from England that live in big houses, which is in the Republic of Ireland. So, like, in 1923, they decided to hand back 26 pieces of the 32 pieces of Ireland. And what you have here is 6 pieces of it, and they called it Northern Ireland. But it's not even the full province of Ulster, because Ulster had Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan, but they didn't include them.
Massive as well.
Yes, but they didn't include them in because it would have meant that the population, when they carved it up, would have still been a majority Catholic, because they were a big Catholic thing. So when they carved it up, it was like 79% Protestant. You know, so it was a Protestant state formed for Protestants, run by Protestants, and it was given to them because they were loyal to the crown. And there was a lot of reasons why they kept here. Belfast was a big industrial city, had the largest shipbuilding company. It had all the ports and dairy, which was good for World War. It had linen industry and factories, so it meant it was good sense to keep it. But now we're at a stance where there's like 49% Catholic, 49% Protestant, and none of that industry's here anymore. Yeah. You know, so it just, the security things of this city and all that cost a lot of money to run, so it doesn't really make sense for them to have it anymore. But they've set it up so they can't really just hand it back. Whereas now at the minute they're sort of saying like there will be a referendum, and you know, it'll be up to the people of here to decide. And just because there's 49% Catholic, I don't think all the Catholics will vote for United Ireland, but yeah, I don't think all the Protestants will vote for...
Do you think they won't, because the fact is it might then flare up tensions again?
Of course.
Is that why you think they'll go,
I don't think...
just leave
yes,
it?
It will, of course. I mean, there's no remedy to this. There's no end game. Like, there's no, like, oh, yes, no, we'll just do this and that'll be it and everybody will be happy with it. I don't think it's the same as handing back Hong Kong to China. Yeah. You know, I don't think it would be that easy to do, because they're still, like, this area here is called the New Lodge. This is a completely Catholic area, and surrounded, this is like a flashpoint to see all the cameras and stuff like that. And on a daily basis, these people and the Protestant people of Tigers Bay fight. You know, kids throw stones, and like if a football match doesn't go right and the result's wrong for one side, they may come up here and throw stones and petrol bombs, and there's still like sectarian attacks and things like that happen. So
how often would you say? Daily attacks? Yeah,
but it could be miniature ones, and then there can be big ones, you know, so it's just a thing. But you come in, they say Belfast is the biggest outdoor art gallery, so when you drive about you see all these, like you'd see this, that's like the youth of North Belfast. It shows you their Gaelic team that they have here, and then you come to the likes of this, and it has like all Republican volunteers, and shows you going right back all the different types of weapons, from a pike till a gun till a shield till a sword. So it's showing you like people fought for Ireland for all them years. You know, so, and they have all these, because that marks territory. You know where you are when you look at this, because you go, oh right, well it's green, white and orange here, because you can see it in their murals, what they have and the different things they've done. So I'm going to start the tour here, because I think this relates a wee bit to your country. And some people will be surprised to see it. A lot of Australians, when I done the actual tours, like, would have been really surprised to see this mural that we have on the wall. Yeah. But there's a lot of connection with...
Oh, there's the Indigenous flag there.
Yeah. So, which you've noticed, right? Yeah, so a lot of things relate. Like, we have a lot of murals for Nelson Mandela. Palestine is a big thing to Catholics here. Anywhere that's been oppressed or land's been taken from Indigenous people, and like their culture eroded or stuff like that, there will be a connection. But we'll jump out and have a look at this.
Don't want to alarm you guys, but there's a guy following us in the car. Oh, it's alright, it's Ginger.
If you see this one here, look.
Yeah. And
this was done in 2001. And what happened here was, peace agreement happened in 1998, and then by 1989, 2000, all the prisoners were released. We had a big prison here called the H-Blocks, which housed all the prisoners. And what basically happened was, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but have you ever heard of Bobby Sands?
Bobby Sands?
Yeah.
I think I've heard the name.
You've heard the name. So Bobby Sands was a guy who was a Republican prisoner here. And what basically happened was, when you were arrested in the 60s when the trouble started here, then there was internment where they would just arrest people, put them on prison boats and in prison here. They went into prison, but they were like, no, we're prisoners of war. We're fighting a war here. We're fighting against the British imperialism and whatever.
Yeah.
And, civil rights and this and that and the other. So they put them into like an old RAF base. So it was mizzen huts. If you watch any old war movies, that's exactly what they went into. It was an RAF base and they decided it up. But then the IRA would have their huts and their wing and their compound. The UVF, which was the Ulster Volunteer Force, would have theirs. They were loyalists. UDA was loyalists, also the Defence Association, and they were set up by the British because these were people who seen themselves as British and this land was given to them. It was written in blood that they were to have this land of Northern Ireland. It was a country for them and they run it and be British in it. So they took on the IRA on the streets, and it was a way for the British to fight them. Yeah, because it was guerrilla paramilitary groups.
Yeah.
So you had those counteracting groups, and they were in prisons. Now the prisoners, when they were in, were like, we're political prisoners, it's a war. So they asked for to wear their own clothes, to not do prison work, to do make stuff and send out to your family and have visits from the outside world. The British government decided to make it illegal here, the whole fight, and say it wasn't a war. This is trouble between two religions, which it wasn't. And they formed a new prison. They built it. It was called the H-Blocks. It was built all H's. They all had different numbers. And what they would do is they would put you in there. You would wear a prison uniform. You would have to conform and say you're a criminal, basically. And the Republican prisoner says, no, we're not doing that. And they stopped wearing the uniform, and all they had was a blanket. So that was the start of the blanket protest. Then there was no wash, so they wouldn't get washed, they wouldn't shower. So they all had long hair and beards. That was a no wash protest. And then they wouldn't let them out of the cells, so they were locked in there. So they would have to do their urine and their excrement.
Hell.
So the guys went, as a protest, we're going to rub it on the wall. Because they actually found that rubbing it on the wall, the smell went away quicker, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And they would make a funnel at the bottom of their door to pour the urine out into the hallway.
Yeah.
And they would just brush it back into them. And that was they called it the dirty protest. They called it the no wash protest, within the Republican movement. So after that, they were asking for 5 demands. They weren't asking for free in Ireland. They were asking for the right to not wear a prison uniform, the right not to do prison work, the right to have outside visits, the right to have educational facilities and recreational facilities. And that's what they were asking for, demanding-wise. And that started a hunger strike. So 6 men went on a hunger strike run by the Dark Hues. I don't know if you watched Disney Plus. Did you watch Disney Plus?
I've got Disney Plus. Yeah, I've got kids,
Disney Plus. Say Nothing. Well, Say Nothing's on it.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is a programme about here. And if you watch that, there's a guy in it called Brenton Dark Hughes. And he was on that first panel of 6 men that went on hunger strike. But after 56 days, the British decided to hand it. They says, okay, we'll give in to your demands. And they had sent it through. And one of the guys was in trouble. He had been starving himself for 50 odd days, so he was going to die. So Brenton Hughes says, well, if he's going to die and they're giving in the demands, we'll just call off the strike now. And they done that, and they withdrew the documents. Says, no, we're not giving in to your demands now. He's came off the strike. And it looked like a defeat in the IRA on the outside. So the army on the outside were like, don't be doing that again, because that looked like we're defeated. So Bobby Sands took over as OC in the prison, and he says, I'm going to go on hunger strike first. And no one's coming on for 2 weeks, which meant my death and his death isn't at the hands of each other. So when we get the demands, there's somebody coming on every 2 weeks. So his death can be after mine, and we're not all doing it together, and it's just a mass death. And he says, I'm going to starve until I die, or until I get the demands. And he went on hunger strike. He died after 67 days on a hunger strike. And while he was on hunger strike, there's 6 MPs for this province in Westminster Parliament, and a guy died who was an MP in Fermanagh, and they put Bobby Sands up for MP, and he won, and he became a member of Parliament. And while he was on hunger strike, being a member of Parliament, people all around the world went, why is there a member of the British Parliament dying on hunger strike in prison for 5 human rights demands? So it get loads of traction all over the world. People were talking about it, and the IRA seen at that stage that instead of fighting and blowing up London and shooting people, they actually get more publicity through politics. And it changed the whole strategy of the IRA.
What year was that?
That was 1981.
81.
And a load of them went on to die after him, you know, and the hunger strikers died. They were from all different parts of the north here. And they never fully gave in to the demands, but they implemented it like a couple of years after. But they were real touchy times here because people were dying, starving themselves to death in prison for that. And they weren't asking for United Ireland, although they had fought for it. They were just asking for political status.
Yeah.
And that brought about a lot of things. Now, the reason why the trouble flared here, as I told you, in 1922 they decided they were going to hand back 26 pieces of the country because there was the War of Independence. They had the Easter Rising in 1916. A lot of things weren't successful, but what it made the British was realise, oh, hold on. And they murdered the leaders from then, made them martyrs. So there was an uprising of people, there was civil war, and then the 26 pieces were given back. But if you were a Catholic left in the 6 counties here, you were then left in a state that was for Protestant people, so it was hard for a Catholic to get a job. Give you an example. The shipyard employed 40,000 people. 1,400 were Catholic.
Fuck me.
Right? So to get a house was really hard. To get a vote, they gerrymandered the vote where you couldn't get a vote. So even like Derry, County Derry, City of Derry, which was a massive Catholic city, it was always unionist politicians running it, the council, because they gerrymandered the vote so that nobody could win that was a Catholic.
The more you hear, like, I never, because obviously, like, you know, we're both Celtic fans.
Yeah,
We talked about it, and, you know, going to Glasgow, I don't think I've even told you this, but, because when I first moved over to London in 2015, and then I went to Glasgow, and then I saw my first Orange March. Yeah. I'd never seen it. And I got a joke about how, like, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was them raising awareness for gingers, blah, blah, blah. And then last year, it was Trophy Day, and I'm in my kit going to watch us lift a trophy, and the march is on. And I was like, what? Why would you have the march on today, of all days? Well, you fucking know why, but they marched through, and I just remember standing at the traffic lights, and they're going to go across, and they're taking ages, and people were like wanting to go, and there was about 16 so of people just went, fuck it. Because they stopped.
You can't march through. Did they fucking attack us?
We went through. And everyone's kicking off. My mate Ross is up there like, what are you doing? I walk up, and there was just this one woman was just screaming, "Yeah, orange bastard!" It was hectic, but I mean, it was pretty early in the morning. I don't think anyone wanted a bit of a piece of each other. But my point is, like, the more I see, the more you learn, and like hearing all this stuff. And hearing more and more about it, and it's just, there's no other way to put it. I don't understand how Protestants have a leg to stand on when, and the British, like I see this as well. Like, do you know much about the British in Australia?
I didn't know a lot until I went there last year.
Yeah.
And then I realised how much it is, like what they done, because I went till Fremantle, and where they came off the prison ships, and just the stuff that they've done even over there, and what they've done to the Aboriginal people. And
well, have you ever heard of a film called Rabbit Proof Fence?
I haven't heard it, no.
It's an Australian film, and it's got like Kenneth Branagh's in it, and he plays basically the British antagonist in the film, and it's based on the true story of how they basically tried to whitewash the Indigenous kids. They call it stolen generation. They used to steal the children from their communities to then put them through school and try and also then marry or be with a white man and try and breed them out.
Yes.
There was a point when they were trying to breed out the Indigenous, which is just sickening. And then you hear about that, and then you look at what's going on in Gaza and happened to the Palestinian people, and
which also, like, because people go, what the fuck do the Catholics or the Irish have in connection with the Palestine? When a lot of people don't know that the black and tans that were here, like wiping out the people here, then get sent by Winston Churchill till Palestine.
Yep.
And also, like, the Palestine people and like the Persians and the people at that time during the famine here in the 1800s, which people say it was a famine. There was plenty of beef, there was plenty of other food, but that was getting sent to England because England took over the country and the landowners were all British, and they, you know, charged you rent, and then when the rent went up because there was no crop of potatoes, potato was the biggest carbohydrate, so it was easy to grow and it kept people alive.
Yeah. But
like tons and tons of beef left this country every day, and you know, then they couldn't pay the rent and the people starved. Like 1.5 million people starved here. 1.5 million emigrated all around the world. But the people from Palestine, Turkey and stuff like that, they sent help to the Irish people. They sent money. They done more than the British, and the British were running the country. So the British have done it everywhere they went.
Yep.
And then when people say, like you made a comment there and going like the Protestants don't have a leg to stand on, I don't see it as their problem, because they were sent here and now they're a part of this country. And I think that being somebody who was told their whole life that they lived somewhere and they were British and they weren't Irish, and that you couldn't have your identity, like you're talking that thing about the Aboriginal kids were taken away. In this country, you weren't allowed to practice. I mean, the language was eradicated by them. It's now making a massive revival. You weren't allowed to play Gaelic, curling, any Irish sports or music. And
that's like what happened in Scotland as well with Culloden.
Yeah, and if you wanted to have mass, like there's famous things up in mountains where there's a mass rock where the priest would have had to be in Hayden and he would have brought people up to the mountain to have mass because you weren't allowed to have it. You know, and there was a lot of people during the famine where there's a thing that they go, you took the soup, which meant you turned Protestant, and they give you soup and they fed you. You know, so there was a lot of that went on during the famine, and
like conversion for food.
Yeah, and so there was lots of that. So there's a term, like you have a lot of Irish people, mostly said down south, oh, you took the soup, which meant like your name, say your name was O'Donnell, and all of a sudden your name's MacDonald, and you're Protestant. Oh, they took the soup. You know.
Yeah.
But I also don't want the Protestant people here. They've been sent here and they've been set up life here, and I see them as fellow countrymen now, but
cool.
we need to understand that they do have culture as well.
Yeah.
So I don't see us trying to take theirs away is going to do any good when people try to take ours.
Yeah, I meant it more in terms of like...
Oh, you don't have a right to the country? Is that what you mean? Or
no, I mean not like to stand on with how the Catholics have been through. Like, you look at, even in Scotland, everywhere, like the oppression and how they were treated and imprisoned. And you're like, how can you not say that is inhumane?
Well,
do you know what I mean? I
think it's like a lot of Protestant people that live here. I mean, their identity is British, right? And they say they're British, but they don't have, like, they don't even say they're, well, someone might say they're Northern Irish, but they don't want to have any connection to Ireland. There's a part of them they're going to have. I suppose it's like, where's your family originally from? Your mum's originally from Glasgow. Where's your father from? Is he Australian?
My dad, born in Australia, but a few generations back from England. England,
right? So, like, your family roots is back, but would you say you're Australian then? Yeah, and you've no issue with it. Do you know what I mean? Because there was nobody really, and you support Celtic. It's strange talking to somebody who's Celtic to sort of know, like, you supported Celtic because your mum's from Glasgow and maybe that was their team. It was the first kit I was given as a toddler as well. Do you know what I mean? There was no sectarianism in the fact that, but you wearing that top makes you a target because they go, he's a fucking Fenian bastard. Do you get what I mean? And I don't even know what your religion is. Do you know? But straight away, if you wear that, especially here, you're a Fenian bastard. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, 100%. And I hate the fact that it comes into it because it is only football. And I've come to realise that, like, back in the day, going to matches, of course you shouted all the fucking obscenities and you got involved in it. But when I go with my son now, I go to him, that's fuck all to do with this is football. Keep that separate because I don't think it gets us anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you do get attacked a wee bit when you say that. I mean, recently there was a thing put in the paper about me saying about that I see Protestants as my fellow countrymen and would need to accept their culture. And people's like, fuck you. You know that they rubbed it in our face. And I go, yes, they did, because they control the country, but they now feel like they're not represented and that they're not welcome. And if we're going, no, stay in Ireland, it's a country for all, I can't be saying keep the immigrants, let them all come in because we've went everywhere around the world, but yet, no, fuck them, they're not marching.
Yeah.
You know, if Indians come here, well then they should have the right to fucking go out and have a wee fucking Bollywood parade and their mala and do whatever they do.
Yeah.
But yet, no, we don't want people that's fucking lived here for the past 100 years and let them do what they do.
Do you know what, I'm going to be honest with you, this is what it winds me up about, you know, because I actually spoke to a mate about this recently about identity and like, yes, I'm Australian, but also like very much a part of my identity is Scottish. Like from my mum. My mum's a proud Scot. You know, I was married in a kilt in the family tartan.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean? All of that is so important to me. But then that's why I get so confused when white Australia now
is racist. Yeah,
it fucks me off because you're like, how can you, when literally all of white Australia is immigration?
Yeah,
we are all immigrants. Of one way or another, you look at all the different countries from all over and the different, like the 60s and 70s, who came over and when and from where, from Europe and all. My mum, she was on the boat for, you know, it was like, what was it? It was like 10 quid to send your whole family.
Yeah.
And so they got sent over when they flew over, boated it for 6 weeks in the 60s from Glasgow to Adelaide.
And it was a tenner.
Yeah, a tenner.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
it's like,
my cousin went from here with his wife.
Yeah.
And their daughter was born, but then the rest of the kids was born out there, and they've been in Melbourne from it. I think it was 72.
Yeah.
And he told me it was like £10, but he had to go and get a trade.
Yeah.
And then because he was an apprentice, they wouldn't let him go in the 1970. But then by 72, he was out of his time, and he was able to go because he was a full metal worker.
Fucking hell, yeah.
But like he says, when they first went to Melbourne, like the streets were empty. Whereas like you're walking down in Man, it's like a proper big city. He
Huge,
says, back in the day, like he says,
people argue it's the capital. Sydney and Melbourne always argue about who the real capital is. But what fucks me off is like you look at Australia now, and like just recently, they had a vote about bringing basically an Indigenous voice into Parliament, to have someone representing them in Parliament, and it didn't pass.
They're just scared of it, they
It's wild.
But they're scared of it because... And it's maybe why the Protestants are scared of it here. You know, for so many years we were oppressed. We didn't have a vote. We didn't have houses. We didn't... And they just took it all for themselves because they felt like they needed to keep us down. And so when we put Irish street signs up now and they see, like, Irish identity coming out and people like Kneecap, I think it scares them because they go, are they going to wipe us out? Are they going to... I don't know. So
this is what, you know, because I was talking to my mate who's Kiwi. Yep. And this is something that really, I think there might be a fear in white Australia, but also I think maybe, like, so the big argument, I'll get to my point about New Zealand, but basically what it is people have this argument. White Australia will be like, why are we feeling guilty for fucking a few hundred years ago? We're all Australian, you know. But then it's like, okay, if you think we're all Australian, why are you not integrating the First Nations people more into the culture and the identity of Australia? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than just showmanship, actually fucking have them as an integral part of the development of Australia, right? The growth, you know, as a people, but you look at New Zealand, this is what I was talking to my friend about, I was like, what I envy as an Australian of New Zealand is, sure, there's racism there and stuff, but they have people learn the Maori language, and it's so important. They're First Nations people. You think about New Zealand, you look at the All Blacks and the rugby, you're not thinking about white New Zealand.
No.
You're thinking about the Indigenous people who lived there forever. And the Indigenous Australia is meant to be the most, is the oldest
civilization.
It's like 60,000 years or something crazy. And I think there's over 500 languages in Indigenous Australia, like because of all the different
dialects and stuff.
It's crazy.
It was that big back in the day. No social media. It was just like, nah, it's fucking part of our language. Yeah. What do you call it? Fuck, we didn't know that. Yeah,
I'm calling it this.
It fucking freaked me out how big Australia was.
It's huge. It's insane.
But the thing that really hit home with me was when the plane was landing in each place. Yeah. It was like, no, we have to pay homage to the people who were originally here, and I was like, that's lovely. Yeah. Every show I'd done, there was a statement made in a recording, and I went, well, that's lovely. It's recognising them.
But what I will say, That's what frustrates me, though. They're doing this, which is great. It is good to have that, and I had it play before my show in Adelaide, and it is lovely. But also, that's a part that infuriates me. Is there is that thing where like, oh, we'll do this thing. It looks nice and it sounds nice. And it looks like we're doing the right thing. But then when it comes to the parliament, the serious parliament,
we're not letting them in.
It's like you can't put the show on.
So you think maybe those things are just to appease them, and they're just like, no, sure we'll do, yes, but nah, you aren't getting the keys till the fucking...
I mean, it's baby steps in terms of like, yep, they wouldn't do that before, and now, you know, people recognise it when they're, you know, doing a speech or presentation on like TV or something. Sometimes, you know, like, hey, just where we are right now, I want to recognise the people of this land, blah, blah, and you go, great, it's good, but then...
Is that somebody doing the haka in that house? You couldn't read that, could you? It's like, go, keep doing it. There comes the recording.
Commit. But yeah, that's why I look at it and I see the Aboriginal flag and you know what it represents. So you got the bottom is the red sand of Australia, of the earth, and then you've got the sun and the sky. And it's like, what? That's a fucking sick flag, bro.
No, it is.
I'm like, why can't, like...
that be incorporated?
Because you look at our flag, and it's literally the British flag. And it just looks, it's just this colony.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, it is. It's something you would have seen in a ship or whatever, No, I get it. And this was done in 2001, and what happened in 2001 was there was a lot of uneasy things happening in Belfast where these loyalist paramilitaries who had run their own areas, they'd done so by selling drugs and racketeering and stuff like that. So they're all getting out of prison and they're going, what's going to happen? And the Shankill Road actually divided in two. Prior to like 1998, 1989, you could live anywhere in the Shankill if you were a Protestant, you know what I mean? But these men started getting out of prison, and then it's like land grab, because they were like, our organisation against our, and there was like a feud between the two of them. And they actually divided the Shankill Road, which is Protestant, in two. So the bottom half is like UDA and the top half's UVF. So a lot of UVF ones that lived in the bottom half had to move up the top. And there was houses up beside Ardoyne, which is a big Catholic estate like this, all Catholics surrounded by Protestants. Yeah. And there were some houses that were vacant from 1969 when they were burnt. So they started taking houses there, which was fine because it was like June time. But when September came, all the Catholics, it was a primary school, a girls' primary school. So the kids were like from 5 till 11, young girls, would attend that school. But their parents would walk up past them houses to bring them into school. And they're like, fucking hold on a wee minute, we've moved in here now. We've took over these houses. We've just got put out of the Lower Shankill. We're not letting Catholics just walk through here. So they started attacking them. And it was called the Holy Cross Girls. If you go on and watch the videos, you'll be shocked at what went on. So basically there was a line of army and police, and they were throwing urine and attacking and squealing into their faces because there were Catholics walking through the state. Rosa Parks got involved in the whole campaign, and the Aboriginals and stuff, they got involved because they were like, well, this is like fucking... you know, what we campaign for. Just because they're Catholic, they won't let these wee girls go to school. Sure. And it ended, they threw a hand grenade.
Jesus.
And it killed the police dog. And that ended it, because then that got serious. But these are young kids from the age of 5 to 11, and some of them now still have the PTSD from it, you know, and you see the images, you look at it, it was insane. So a lot of this came about from things like that had happened, and that's how this sort of ended here. It was like a campaign by Rosa Parks and different people and organisations and, you know, apartheid and stuff like that. And so things like this came up in Catholic areas because there was support from groups outside of here.
Do you call it Shanks Road, you say?
Shankill Road.
Shankill Road. So where... Shanks Road. Shankill Road. So Shankill Road, is that near Falls Road?
Yes. So where we are is like North Belfast now, but the Shankill and the Falls is in West Belfast, and it's literally like 10 minutes away from here. Mm-hmm. Everywhere's really close together. Belfast isn't a massive city because the city centre we were in, although we were driving through it and stuff today, when I was growing up, you had to go through a stadium turnstile to go in, and you went through a British Army checkpoint to check you for bombs and guns. and there was a ring of steel put around the city because the IRA would attack the economy. They would blow it up. Like 1972, the IRA, Bloody Friday, they blew up like, I think it was 22 bombs in one day, a lot of people killed, but their ideal was to bring the economy to a standstill and bomb the Brits out, is what the thought was. So Belfast city centre was basically a ring of steel. You had to go through an army checkpoint. It was just like a big army base, you know, and these, after 69, all the houses burnt. That's how the peace wall came about, which we'll go to and I'll show you. But Belfast was like a military base all over. You know, on top of the buildings here would have been army bases because they were tall buildings. A lot of people were shot dead from the top of them army bases in the area. You know, so there was a lot of that. And Belfast's not really built. It hasn't really built out from that. So you have a lot of these areas all very close to the city centre, but they're really, really close to each other.
Was there a year when, I have the words tensions or conflict in terms of like, you know, the amount of deaths and things?
72 was the bloodiest year.
What was the worst year?
Yeah.
72.
That was 72 was the bloodiest year of it all. And I think in total there's about 3,700 or 3,900 people died in the so-called Troubles, which would have been related to British Army, police, UVF, UDA, IRA, and then different wee groups that would have been formed overall. You know, that would have been the sort of... That's us round here. So that there would have been a lot. You're not wearing your flip-flops? He's a tout, he's a British plant. Jerry, don't be coming out. Don't be coming out. I'm never in your pocket. But
I'm from West Belfast. Where did Jerry Adams come from? What did he ever do? How did he end up at the top of the Republican movement? How did he end up leading?
He says he wasn't in it.
No, he said he wasn't in his wife, but he had 3 kids.
Oh my God. That's what you're saying though, like, is people who live and breathe, you know, their stance and, you know what I mean? Because he said the war's not over.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people there that would have give up because, I mean, to give you an idea, the IRA was a voluntary force, right? That you didn't get paid for. And when you joined it, they told you were either going to go to prison for a long time.
What's it? Sorry, time for the truth. What's that?
Time for the truth. I was telling you about the top of the towers that the British Army would have had bases.
Uh-huh.
These 6 men were shot dead. Part of the operation for the country to take over, that was on the 3rd and the 4th of February 1973. They were all shot dead from the top of the tower. No one was ever brought to justice. So, like, the murals would have been a big thing, but what they done was they decided when the peace came about, they wanted some way to remember IRA volunteers and civilians that died in the area without it being like a mural of a man with a gun or something like that. So they came up with these Garden of Remembrance. That's garden.
How many are there?
Well, every area has one.
Really?
Every area has one. Yeah. And every area that would have had a company of the IRA, like D Company, C Company, stuff like that. So this one's for the New Lodge. And like if you see the names on it, the civilians, there's young as 6 months and as old as 82. I think 82, 87 is like the oldest age on that. So you were a legitimate target for loyalist paramilitaries and the British forces just for being a Catholic, you know. So that is why people joined it. So there's a lot of people who give their lives and fought for the IRA, and then all of a sudden, you know, they signed this peace agreement, and they're like, lads, the war's over, and all these men get out of prison, and their whole life, all they've done was fight for the IRA, and they're going, well, what happens now? And they're sitting now, 2025, and some of them are going, sure, the Brits are still here. Yes, we have people in government, but the Brits are still here. I mean, it's not a united Ireland. We were told we were fighting until it was called the Long War. That's when the Provisional IRA set themselves up, you know, in this 1969 from the burning of the houses, and that's why their badge is a phoenix. So for phoenix from the flames, from the burning houses. Mm-hmm. The new IRA, which was called the Provisional IRA, and they says it's a long war until we're all dead or there's united Ireland. But then in 1998 they were like, lads, war's over, sign a peace agreement here. So you have people like him where he's like, probably lost some of his family members being a member of the IRA. I don't know if he was or not, but like he's sitting there going, it's fucking not over. We're still fighting, you know. And any of these groups that do still fight, they just get put into the criminal system.
But how, like we said before, you know, what the British did was awful. But how now with people who, like you said, are still living with the pain of loss and suffering and oppression, and still feel, yep, like you said, we've got a voice in Parliament, but hey, look, you know, we haven't won the war yet, so to speak. How do you find resolve in 2025? How do you know what I mean? How do you move forward?
I think there's a big deal in like remembering people who died, right? But then both sides have an issue with each side remembering somebody. You know, so somebody who fought for the IRA, say Bobby Sands, right? Bobby Sands is probably the most famous one because he's everywhere. There's streets named after him in Paris, in Damascus. You know, there's all in Robben Island in South Africa when Nelson Mandela and his fellow prisoners went on hunger strike. They called it doing of Bobby Sands. Mm-hmm. So he was the most famous one, but he's seen as a massive hero within republicanism. The Protestants here, like, so they're commemorating Bobby Sands, or they call a school after him, or they call a Gaelic football team after him, and they don't like it. But on the same sense, if they have somebody who's went out and, you know, fought for paramilitaries and killed people, like Michael Stone or something like that, the Catholics go, well, that's a disgrace that they're, you know, naming him as a hero. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
Both sides are going to either just move on and forget about all it, or accept that each side had a history and they're going to commemorate it. So it's a real tough one, because what do you do?
Do you think now there's, I know earlier I said Protestants have a leg to stand on, and maybe I should have worded it as the British, you know?
Yeah, no, I'll get you.
But now though, do you feel and it's going to sound very naive, but there must be people who have been born in the last 20 years and a younger generation of Protestants, so to speak, who, I don't know, like, maybe in terms of unity of Ireland and of the people and trying to move forward as a collective, and yet commemorate and respect those fallen from both sides, family members, and, you know, because there would have been so many innocents who died, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's...
I think it's numbing down.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think definitely it's numbing down. A lot more friendships across the barricades and the communities and people working together, where there wasn't that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people go and socialise in the city centre. But there still is, like on top of that building, you'll see a green statue with the Northern Ireland banner and the Union flag. Mm-hmm. And that's King Billy on his horse. And he's caused a lot of shit here people don't talk about. He was a Dutch guy who was married to the King of England's daughter. And the King of England was Catholic and he fled to Ireland. And the British went to him and went, see, if we send you over to Ireland and you defeat your father-in-law, we'll make you King of England. And he came here and they had the Battle of the Boyne, which is what the Orange Men is all about. So the Orange Men marched to commemorate that battle in 1690, which was a Dutch guy that came here and, you know, defeated the English king, which is insane when you think about it, because you go, well, they don't see themselves as...
Yeah. Jesus. Orange bastard. So I was talking to my missus about this. I genuinely...
Now you know where you're at now, don't you?
Yeah.
You can tell.
I genuinely am...
With the flags and stuff. And there's a lot of this in England at the minute. And they're like, oh my God, we're painting roundabouts and curbstones. And we're like, look at this. Like,
Jesus Christ.
No, that's not Jesus. That's Venus.
It's Venus. I love how they've gone, yeah, we're going to put a British flag. But yeah, what I find wild, and I was talking to my missus about this, is I genuinely, learning more and more about the Orange March and seeing it that day in Glasgow,
Like, you can see the houses, like they don't.
It confuses me.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you're still marching, and
It's an identity thing, but isn't it?
yeah, but it's a Dutch guy.
No, I know, and it sounds a bit mental because you just want to be British, but you are being British by saying that this Dutch guy that defeated the English king,
Yeah.
which should be a thing, you know. So that's Jackie Coulter. So you can see that's a guy, UDA, who was murdered by the UVF in the feud in 2000. So they had the feud between the two sides here. You know, so I think...
The Ulster Freedom Fighters, it said.
Yes, which is the Ulster Volunteer Force. You got UFF, they have like a couple of names.
So you listed about 6...
There's Red Hand Commando. There's, like, they would form groups that they could use during when they were on ceasefire. Like the Red Hand Commando could go out and do a killing, and it wasn't connected to the UVF or UDA. You know, but when they were on a ceasefire, they could go out and do stuff and put it in that name.
That's just like chucking a different gamer tag on.
So, like, the IRA was the IRA, and then it was the official
you're
IRA.
banned from this server.
Yeah.
As Paddy123, and you've come back as Patrick123.
It's a really hard thing, and religion isn't a big thing anymore. Like, not everybody goes to mass or goes to church. And a guy from the Shangle said to me before, it was a great thing, he says to me, Paddy, open your eyes the next time you're in the Shangle. And I was going, I don't know what you mean. He says, religion-wise, open your eyes. And on the Shangle, I think there's 31 different types of Protestant, different type of church. And whereas on the Falls, it's just a Catholic church. But, like, the Catholic Church done a lot of damage to itself, was hiding the paedophilia of priests and the murdering of wee babies, and nuns and priests being harsh on people and taking them away and killing them, and, you know, all the things that they've done. When you talk about some of the things the Catholic Church done, even during the famine, like, the priests were all fucking having dinner, but the people were out fucking dying, and they were supporting the British because they were the leaders in the country. And they were like, well, listen, if you build us a big training facility, which is Maynooth Priest College down south, and it was like, if they were to build that building now, it would have been the cost of about 20 million. But back then, I think it was like 300,000. But they says, if you build us that, we'll be standing up in the pulpit telling the people not to support anybody that's fighting for Ireland. You know?
Wow.
And this is the UDA run area, so what you can see is there's a lot of shops closed, and this is all the shops that they have the racketeer from. And when we get to this split here in the road, Agnes Street, so this is UDA. You'll see they don't have bunting across, they just have flags and a lamppost. But once we go through here, this is a different type of Protestant area. Even though it's one Shangle Road, this is now run by the UVF up here.
Wow. So, because this is what always got me growing up, is how many different types of Protestant Christianity there is, right? Mm-hmm. Different strains.
Are you a religion? Have you got a religion? Were you baptised or anything?
I was baptised, yeah, it's so complex. So basically, my grandma, this is what's wild, was...
By the way, just have a look out and you'll see. Can you see the monarchy there?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So this shows you how British they are here. Like, you don't see anything to that extent in England. If you look on the right-hand side, on this wall, you'll see the Queen, right? So it gives you an idea of the extent of how British they see themselves.
Yeah.
And we're literally 2 minutes away from we were in that street where that guy was shouting about fucking the IRA and the war's not over. You know?
Yeah.
And then you look here, this is a typical UVF bar, the Rax bar. And you can see it has all the stuff. There's bookies there, it has a wee benches. You see, lest we forget, you can see the Red Hand of Ulster, which they adapt as one of their own, but the Red Hand of Ulster actually comes from the clans, the O'Neill clan that run Ulster, like the High King. He had 2 sons, he didn't know who was going to be the next High King. And Loch Ness, which is the biggest inland lake in Europe, so it went round a couple of counties. So he says, whoever sails from Antrim to Tyrone, the first one is to put your hand on the land of Tyrone becomes the next king. So two of them's on boats, and they're neck and neck. One brother wanted it more than the other. He cut his hand off and threw it onto the shore, which made him king. So that's why Ulster's the Red Hand of Ulster.
No fucking way.
And it's actually an old Irish symbol, like the Red Hand of Ulster and the land of Tyrone. And if you go to Tyrone, their actual badge and their Gaelic thing is a red hand. Go to the Ulster Hall, it's a red hand. But they've adapted it here because they say they're fighting for Ulster because Ulster was given to them. So they have, and then they have the Red Hand Commandos, and they have all that. So even though there's some things that they don't want to attach themselves to that's Irish, like Salat is an Irish thing that they've attached themselves to, Red Hand, and it is used a lot in their badges and stuff. And you'll see the Battalion of the Dead. If you see that wee sort of plaque on the wall there, which is like a remembrance garden here, you'll see there's a Scottish flag on that as well. And
I just saw that the Scottish Brigade. I saw the tartan immediately.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sectarianism in Scotland. I don't know if you know what, but so there's a massive connection between Scotland and here, and Glasgow and here especially.
So my
and there's a Rangers tap there, so there's a lot of people that connect things with that and that,
So I did the Ancestry.com.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
And what came up?
And so I've got a lot of, I got 30% Irish, 25% Irish, something like that. Because, so my mum's grandma moved over from, it says Northern Ireland, she was from Sligo, and the region, it says like, there's a whole chunk of my DNA that comes from here.
Yeah.
Because they left
Ulster
I think, during the famine to go to Scotland.
Yeah.
And you look at as I was asked before about the religious side, that's what's crazy is when I found out from my mum. So my grandma was Catholic.
Yep.
My mum's sisters and all my aunties growing up, they're all Catholic. And then this is growing up in Adelaide. Whereas my mum's dad, who was a diehard Celtic man, was Protestant, married a Catholic woman. He was never into football. His brother-in-law,
Celtic,
took him to the Celtic, and he became obsessed and went to every match.
I mean, I know loads of Protestants who are actually Celtic fans.
That's wild.
And this is the Rangers club on this road.
Oh wow!
So you can just see it, it's an actual. So football in Glasgow has a big impact here. Where people supporting Rangers are mainly from Protestant areas. People support Celtic are mainly from Catholic areas because people don't know that Celtic was set up to help the Irish immigrants that were being mistreated in Scotland because they had come over to try and get away from the famine here and stuff like that, which is why at the Rangers end they sing "The famine's over, why don't you just go home?" So there's a lot of...
How long did the famine last?
Well, it started 1841, and it was a potato blight that came here, and it was a disease that affected the potato. And as I said, landowners from England were planted here. They were planted and given all the land. And then if you were Irish, you had to pay rent and live on a small part of their land. Yeah. And you had to give up your crops and your food and anything. So when the potato blight came, it affected all the potatoes, so a lot of Irish people lived on the potato because it was easy to grow and it was full of carbohydrates. And when that failed, they weren't able to pay the rent, so they burnt them all out of their houses and threw them off the land, and they had no money. And then all the rest of the food, the British Army at that stage, they had a big naval thing and they had a lot of armies, so they took all the beef and all the stuff that was left here and they were feeding their armies and bringing it over to England.
And when did
it finished about 1849, I think. So it went on.
Here's me. Well, I said my great grandmother moved over because of the famine. That's not.
I was going to say she's some age. Did you have a DeLorean?
I don't know how I got that in my head. She moved over.
But no, what happened with your family? They're probably originally from Ulster, and then whenever the famine was hit, a lot of them get sent to Sligo and Connacht. And then there's a story where I read it was to Connacht or hell, which meant if you didn't go to Connacht, because that's where the ships were leaving to go to America, then you fucking died, you went to hell. And Connacht had nothing, like the land shit there, it's all rocky and stuff like that. Beautiful part of the country, but so that's where a lot of people did go, even though they were from Ulster. Belfast and Ulster wasn't as affected by the famine as some of the other places in the south. There still was famine here, but it wasn't thing. But it was a man-made famine. It wasn't. It was caused by the British. It didn't help the fucking situation.
But because my association with growing up. So my dad was Protestant, and I grew up in a Baptist church. And it was very, very strict, and I didn't like it. I don't know if you know my story much, but ended up going into like a hyper-religious church when I was in my teens. For, like, the best, easiest way to say is it fucking ended up being pretty much a cult. It was, hyper-religious, sect where they control every aspect of your life.
Yes, they take your money and your finances and
insane.
Tell you what you have to do. Yeah,
it was crazy. Trying to lay me on the floor. Well, my missus' head fell off the other night when I was telling her about it. I was like, I just mentioned it in passing. I was like, oh yeah, when they laid me on the floor. She goes, wait, what? She goes, I thought they just prayed for you from the front. And I was like, no, I was at the front of the church on the floor, 7 or 8 people with their hands on me trying to deliver me, get a demon out of me because I'd watched porn. They're trying to exorcise a porn demon out of me. And that's what I mean, like, so I went from, I was baptised at 16 at that church, because in the Baptist church, it's different to when as a Catholic.
Yes, where you're
baptised as a child.
Where a baby is fucking thing, so they anoint it, and then that goes on from there.
Yeah.
But they wait until you're older.
And you make the decision for yourself.
Yeah.
So then I was 16, and even then it's stupid because I look back on it and I go, the things I was saying in my speech I had to read in front of my church. So I was 16, I don't know what I was fucking doing.
No.
And you're trying to impress, your elders and everyone in the church and all that sort of thing. And then, so I went through that whole experience, and I went through going through that church for 10 years with the bullshit and the crazy, speaking in tongues and, all that sort of stuff, trying to deliver me from demons and stuff. And then realised I'm a fucking atheist. But then after having lived, so my wife is Irish Catholic. All 4 of her grandparents immigrated to London however many years ago. All separately, and all met in the Irish communities in London, and got married in London. So I remember telling Mike Rice, I was like, oh, so she's English, but she's all 4 grandparents are Irish, and he goes, oh, so the blood's pure.
Yeah, and it's mad how many people go away from Ireland and then become more Irish because you're over. Like, my wife has cousins over in Whitney Bay, and when they talk, you would think they're from Belfast, but they were born and raised.
Yeah.
But they says the community that they were in, everything was done around the church, the Irish Centre. So they weren't around school, everything was done within that Irish group.
Yeah.
So they all spoke like they were from here because there was nobody else around them.
But this is the thing, is like having talked with her at length and learning about Catholicism and how within, like we're actually only just watching Dairy Girls the other night, and this sparked us talking about Protestants and Catholics and how I was raised and what I got into and what I ended up being in, and how there was arguments within my church and other churches for people I went to school with. Oh no, that's wrong. That's not right in the Bible, and that's right. Whereas Catholic is Catholic.
Yeah.
Protestants have so many different variations, and then that variation ended up being the one I was in that was so fucked.
Yeah.
Talking about fucking. They could time travel and shit. Like, it was just fucking wild stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing biblical.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you go like now, even as an atheist, I go, yeah, but and what the Catholics stand for, we saw in that first mural, with the Indigenous Australians. Mm-hmm. And, when I'm at the Celtic match and I see the Palestinian flag waving, that's me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I stand for. Like,
I have a lot of anger for the Catholic Church because of things that they done and the way they run things and the help that they didn't give, to the Catholic community. Like, I remember as a kid thinking, hold on, there's like all these Catholic countries like Italy and you know, South America, why don't they come here and help us? Because we're getting things because we're Catholic. But it's not like that, you know. Like, the Vatican have their own city, their own money, and they've all that stuff there, and they just took everything from poor people back in the day and the famine. So that, and the hate and the paedophilia and all. So I have my own. So I was like, how can they be religious? How can there be a God up there and he let that happen? So I have problems with my faith because of them questions that I asked. I know there's something, I just don't know what it is. It's above my realm. It's I'm never going to decipher it. So I'm not taking sides. And although I was like baptized a Catholic, whenever I'm in church, I don't have that connection to that church anymore.
But that control you're talking about, though, that's what's fascinating to me. Is like, doesn't matter which side of religion you're on. For me, every aspect of religion I look at, I go, there is an element of people being controlled. So I look back at that church, the crazy one I was at, and the people there, good people, man. Lovely people, they meant well, the community was well. But the leadership is where I go, that's where there's bullshit. Just like what you're saying with the Catholic Church. Beautiful people in the community, but then there's people who are robbing the poor, and you walk into the church and there's fucking everything's got gold, and, you know, the window, you look at all the money that's put into building that. And it infuriates me that, like, no matter where you look at religion and people arguing and fighting over religion, I'm like, yeah, but religion also creates
the problem.
Yeah, it creates oppression.
Because it's tribal, and it's and somebody always has to be at the top. And when you have that, there's always going to be somebody who's at the top making decisions for themselves, and somebody at the bottom's not going to get something. You know, if you live in a community and you're part of a community, say you were on an island and your religion was getting fish and meat, and they would out and get fish and meat and everybody got the same amount, that wouldn't happen. Because there'll be a leader on the island, and him and his family will get the first pick, and then his friends and his cousins will get the next pick, and then there's going to be a wee guy who's fucking boat to use, and he's going to be like, but I caught all the fish, and they go, listen, that's all you need. And he's like, no, well, why did I not get that choice? And they're like, no, because I'm the king. Do you know, that's the way the world has always been, and religion's the exact same. It's trying to control, and I think people just don't do it, but I do think there is something. So when I say I'm an atheist, I'm probably not an atheist. I'm just somebody that knows that there's something there, and there's something up in the sky, fucking not just clouds. And I talk to him sometimes. Sometimes he's nice to me, and sometimes he don't give a fuck. And that's the way I look at it, you know. My kids still get baptized and still do First Holy Communion just because it's like that's where we're from and that's what you do. But I said to my wife, I feel like a bit of a fraud. We shouldn't be doing that, you know. But everybody in their class is getting fucking christened. Everybody in their class is getting First Holy Communion. So you would leave them out of that celebration. And a lot of people just do it because they do it. But it doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore. It's not because you're religious. It's not because you're...
It's cultural.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of... You grew up with that, and like I said, like, just being part of that community and not wanting your kid to miss out on that celebration.
My son goes to an Irish language school, right? Bilingual. Like, he went to an Irish language school. He's now going to university. My 3 daughters, the 2 youngest, still go to the Irish language school, and one's now in a grammar school. But the bilingual education is fantastic for them because it really advances them. But my son came back when time they were getting First Holy Communion, which is about P3, sort of around the age of 7, 8. And he came home and he says, Daddy, I want to be a Protestant. And I was like, what? Where's this came from? And he's like, I want to be a Protestant. I went, well,
I don't have PS5.
We need to talk about this, you know. I was like, holy fuck. And so I sat him down and I was like, why? And he was like, do you know Doffer that's in my class? And I was like, no. And he was like, his mum's from Croatia. And I was like, right, okay. And he says, well, he's not doing his First Holy Communion because he's Protestant. And I went, right. And he went, and because there's a big deal made about it for us in the class, the week that we are doing our First Holy Communion, his mum and his dad's taking him to Euro Disney. And I was like, right. And he's like, so see if I don't do my First Holy Communion, can we go to Euro Disney? So if I become a Protestant, and I was like, that's how simple it was to make kids go down that avenue. like bribes. You know what I mean?
Wild. That's also,
but it just shows you how
genius.
a kid thinks. You know, like he is pretty smart. But at the same sense, you're going, fucking hell, like it just shows you, like he's going, why are you going to Disney and we're fucking getting a suit on and going to the chapel?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because you all get money and it's a big celebration, so my mum and dad says we'll make a big deal of it for you this week by going to your Disney. He's like, fuck it, I'm abroad.
Yeah.
You know? But this is the peace line. We'll jump out here. If you can imagine, 1969, the houses were small houses built by factory owners, and it went from the falls right through. There was no wall, there was nothing dividing them. And then they started burning the houses, 1969. So in between the streets, so all these wee streets you had in between the roads. So when the British Army came onto the streets, and they formed barricades in between, and the Catholics formed barricades, and the Protestants put barricades, and they sort of divided the two. All the Protestants came to the Shankill end, all the Catholics went to the Falls Road end. Right. And then it eventually ended up becoming one of these, which is called a peace lane, a peace wall. Wow. There's like 37 of these throughout the whole country that divides areas.
And why are these?
This one's the largest one that runs from the city centre. It takes different shapes and forms, and it finishes on the mountain here. It's about 7.2 mile long. And every night at 7:30 they close the gates between the two sides.
7 miles long.
7 miles long. From the city centre. It takes different shapes and forms, and there's 3 sets of gates along this from the falls to the Shankill, and every night they shut them at 7:30.
Still?
So it still divides.
Still shut it now?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's still tension. There's still that's Shankill, that's Protestant, that's Falls, that's Catholic. There's still.
So why is it on this wall? Forgive my, again, being really naive here.
No, ask it. There's no wrong questions.
All the different flags, why are they? I see Australia there, I see Germany. What is significant about these countries?
Right, so what the crack is here, you see the wording at the top there, Berlin, Baghdad, Nicosia, Falls, Shankill, Palestine, Israel.
Yeah.
That was all places that were still divided. So you had Berlin was divided, there was a Berlin Wall, east and west. You had Israel and Palestine divided. You know, Shankill Falls divided. So that was like there's only 2 cities in Europe that's still divided, which is Nicosia in Cyprus and Belfast, and it's still divided. But all the flags now represent all the nationalities that come and visit here. So this is like one of the most. We sit here now, we'll see black taxis and buses coming, and nobody came here. The only people that came here were British soldiers because of the Troubles. And now, like, it's a big tourist hotspot because people's like, this is fucking insane that there's this fucking wall that divides these 2 communities.
Yeah.
And like, people come from South Africa and they go, "You're all white, you look like each other." And we're going, fucking sure we don't. But you know, we are. Yeah. We're technically the same type of people. If you meet someone from Shankill, meet someone from Falls, apart from colours and religion and something simple like that, we'll still watch the same TV programmes, we'll still wear the same type of clothes. It's insane. Yeah. So that's why it's a big deal that people come here. Like,
so what are people writing? Are the people writing specific things about their country?
This side of this wall always had sectarian graffiti. Kill all Catholics, UVF, UDA, right? And what they done was, you see the graffiti starting here, which just looks like graffiti. What they done was, through art, they started bringing kids together from both communities. And they brought them here, and this was a big canvas, and they were like, just do your tag on the wall, just do whatever you want. And some of them done Batman, some of them done this, but it's mostly that's their wee tags that they do. And it covered up all the sectarian hatred. When we go to the Catholic side, you're going to see that there's very little written on the wall. There's no up the ra, there's no graffiti like that. Very, very little on it because people just seen it as a big wall that divided us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll also see, like, that pole there, the houses on the Catholic side, you see the burn here on the side of that? Now, the wall originally only went to the top of the green sheeting. After 1998, they extended it. So even after peace agreement was signed, they made it bigger. And the people that would have been given the houses on the other side would have been Catholics. Now the houses were built right against the back of the wall, which we'll see when we go in there. Whereas on this side, like, if you're throwing something over, there's only houses here and there. Yeah. There was nothing you really hit. You know, whereas the Catholics were put right up against the back end of it. So it shows you the prejudice whenever they've done
it. Imagine back in the day if you were trying to sell a house. Imagine being the real estate agent coming up trying to, don't worry about that. The wall's bigger now.
Even still, there's a massive gulf between West Belfast and the Shankill in terms of house prices. Massive.
Really?
Yeah, because within those areas there's still racketeering and still stuff like that. And like back in the day, there was a group of Romanians came here, and it was like they rent a house in the Shankill, in the lower Shankill where we were.
I think he was carrying coins.
No, he just robbed the fucking charity box. Maybe at Bull Burns. But he's away getting the Catholic milk because it's tastier. And we're like, do you want the green or blue? What fucking blue? Blue. But you know, they moved into the lower Shankill, and it was cheaper. It was like £300 a month. Where in there it was like £600 a month.
Right.
So they moved in there, not thinking anything, and within 24 hours they were burnt out. You know, because we're like, fuck off, you aren't moving in here. The same as like, you had all the racist stuff that happened in Ballymena, you had all the racist stuff that happened here last year. And the funny thing about it, some of them's out, they're coming over here and they won't speak the native language and they won't adapt into the culture. And I'm going, you're protesting against the Irish language, you mad cunt. And people coming in here not learning fucking English.
That's wild.
You know, back in the day, you were the fucking immigrants who were brought in here, you know.
Yeah.
And you're saying, but they're not accepting where they are, like they should fucking adapt into our culture. And I'm like, what about you adapting into the Irish culture? But you won't, you know. So there's a counter argument there. So that's still the thing. A lot of Catholics did buy their homes because you want to stay safe. That was a safe haven for us growing up with the walls. Don't get me wrong, still people shot dead and stuff happened, but you wanted to live within your own community because it was safer. In the Shankill, it was like there's still houses you can buy for under £100,000 on the Shankill Road in Woodville. Wow. You know, so it just shows you there's still a difference between the two, you know, that way.
So people visiting, like tourists, like, for example, would Australians come and put their name on the Australian flag?
And people say to them, put your mark on the wall. It's a wee touristy thing.
Yeah.
You know, which you don't mind. I mean, there used to be like a face that came out of the wall, and it was red, and behind it was Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's thing, because he was actually seen as a saviour here. Yeah. Because he came when nobody wanted to come. He was an American president. He helped seal the fucking peace agreement, and they named the presidential suite in the Europa Hotel the Clinton suite after him. You know, so she got a fucking honorary degree here, and so they were seen as a big deal. But they signed the wall, so a lot of people come and make their mark on it, but it literally just is. There were talk of taking that down. When these houses were built, there were talk of taking them down, the wall at this section just facing each other, and a lot of people owned their houses in there, and they were selling these dead cheap, hoping that people bought them. So they were like, well, the people, if they buy them, won't attack their houses because they won't let their houses attack. And the plan was to take down a wee part of that wall, but it never happened. Nobody bought them.
Do you think, like, can you see that ever coming down?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's going to be a generational thing. I probably think it may be another 30 or 50 years. Yeah. You know, but I mean, it'd be great if it did come down, but there's a lot of people that don't want it down. It suits them. And also, a big thing about night tourism, you know, tourists come and see it.
Also, is a huge part of the history.
Yeah. And you know, I would say there's still a section of the Berlin Wall still up somewhere. Yeah. And they go, oh, I know, but that was massive. I went there, so, you know. But here, it's still, it's
Fuck, that would have been hard for Hasselhoff to sing at the top of this one.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, fucking.
I've always wanted to do a gig on it.
Oh, yeah.
And have the stage like me up there, and have the audience on that side and the audience this side. I still would love to do it.
But you'd be on the Catholic side.
I don't know. When I first started, it was the Protestant places I played.
Was it?
And I think a lot of them, it was like their first connection with the Catholic community, and they were like, I think half of them were going, see, I told you that's the way them Fenians are. Whereas the other half were like, well, he's not that bad, you know. Yeah. But I've never hit it. Captain Bridges said to me one time, how do you get away with it? And I'm like, I just be honest who I am, where I'm from. And I think I'm just accepted for it. I think they just go, well, that's what he is. You know what? I've never had any hassle, ever, doing gigs in the Protestant community, ever. They know exactly who I am. We have jokes and we have slagging, but I think I slag both sides and take the mick out of both sides. And I think they go, well, do you know what? He doesn't hate anything. He's a Celtic man. He's this and he's that and the other, you know. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is, like, when, like, it's part of that progressive thinking, though, that you're, like you said before, you said you don't look at Protestants, that you look at them as your countrymen. You don't look at them as they're part of the identity of the area.
And the same way, like I can't go, balls, we can't stop immigrants from coming in here. In the same way I'm going, well, I can't turn around and say to them, you live here, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not wrong in saying what I'm saying. I'm not saying everybody has to think like me, but
it's inclusive.
Like my kids, I try and bring them up that way, and I say treat people as they treat you. Doesn't matter where they're from, because there's fucking pricks in the Catholic area, and prick Celtic supporters, 100%. The same way as there is that in the Rangers side, but I know a lot of great Rangers fucking men and a lot of great fucking Protestant guys, and they're my friends now. So I take people how they treat me, and I try and put that into my kids and say to them, look. So when I say about the immigration, people are like, oh no, they're coming in here, they're getting the fucking hotel room, they're getting the fucking this and the other, and I'm going, right, okay, I don't know you, but I've lived in America working, I went to London to work, I've been in Australia to work now. I mean, who am I to tell people they can't go to our country? You know, when our country's done it loads, we were forced to do it, but we've fucking still done it. There's an Irish bar in every fucking city in the world.
Yeah.
So we can't stop people coming in here.
Yep.
I understand that it's a corrupt system and it's just big businessmen are making money in the fucking hotels and bringing them in. But don't be fucking going, oh, they're getting more than us. Go out and fucking get it yourself then. Yeah. You know, because I think there's a lot of people that are slabbering about them, probably never worked a fucking day in their life. You know?
I mean, and you look at the people who say these things, these racist, anti-immigration comments, and you go, what? So many of them. You go, what are you bringing to the table?
Tommy Robinson got out of jail, right? His real name's not that anyway. He's like Michael something or other. He's Irish descent, right? And when he got out of jail, he was like, yeah, fucking just went to the Irish butchers there and got the fucking black pudding. And I went, are you fucking having a laugh? Yeah. Like, you give off about fucking immigrants. Yeah. And then bringing their culture and doing what they want to do, and you've just went to the Irish butchers to get black pudding. Do you know that bit I don't get. That's I just don't get. But we'll take you into the falls now. You want to go in the falls? Yes. How do you feel about being in the Protestant? Are you all right? Well, you are Protestant, so you were a Protestant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We didn't know that at the start, but I knew I probably wouldn't have fucking brought you. I seen you in the Celtic jersey and went, he's one of us. So these are the gates that's on remote control, and these can be closed at any time. So if trouble flares, like during a Celtic Rangers match, they can close these off. Remote control, bump, close the fucking gates. And every night, 7:30, bump, the gates get closed. Oh. See, look, opening hours, see them?
Is there ways to get... Could people go around?
Yeah, but I mean, back in the day, you couldn't. Yes, you could drive down the falls into the city centre, across and up. But it's a hassle. But it's a hassle. You'll not see as many houses done up, like tricolours and all that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You'll not see as much of that. Like in the Protestant areas, they have a lot more of that.
Do you know what I do find interesting though? Like, because, you know, I've got all my Celtic jerseys and stuff, and like you said, I wouldn't wear it walking around the fucking city centre of Belfast.
But you, in Australia, you didn't have any of that, did you? Like, you could just wear your Celtic top?
Nah, you could wear it ever. Yeah. And, you know, if I'm in Dublin, you can wear it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But if I'm in Belfast, I have seen, though...
But you have the thing, you have it in your head, like, oh, fuck, I shouldn't be wearing that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know about it. Some people don't. There's some people who fucking wear a Celtic top. And they've been to Glasgow and they're on a cruise ship and they buy a Celtic top and they're on the Shangle, and somebody in Shangle's going to go, what the fuck are you doing?
That's, do you know Scottish comedian Roscoe McClellan?
Yeah.
So when I first went to Glasgow...
Is he Rangers?
Yeah. So
I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
I went to stay at his house, and again, I didn't know he was Rangers until after I was already in his house. Years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I was going to go to the Celtic shop and stuff, and this is like 8 years ago or something. And he goes, yeah, don't wear anything though around here, because this is a Rangers area. Yeah, it fascinated me, again, having come from Adelaide. This is what's wild, is I came from that fucking crazy cult. Yeah. To then still having my mind blown, because people look at me and go, yeah, but your life has been fucking wild. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but then it's still crazy to me that even now there are areas
No-go areas, yeah.
Huh?
No-go areas.
Yeah. You can't wear those colours there.
Yeah.
You'll get in trouble.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
The cathedral down the street, Clonard Monastery, they tried to burn that down. A wee lad, fucking Macaulay, he was murdered trying to defend it. So on this garden, you have the Phoenix, which is the badge of Provisional IRA. So this was the birthplace of Provisional IRA. So from the burning of the houses, there's Fane Jared Macaulay, who was murdered protecting the monastery. So from that, this is the birthplace of the Provisional IRA. So that's why they have these badges on here. So this garden will remember IRA volunteers from this area, as well as the ordinary civilians that died. You know, so give that guy a wee minute, that's the fucking thing. But I think the other thing you can see, like if you look down to say these houses and we go in, we were on the other side of the wall, and originally just went to the top of that. You can see how close these houses are to the back of it.
Yeah.
If we go down here and look over the wall, you'll see the houses, because all these ones used to have them extra security. Stand up on the bench and have a look down. You see the cages?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you'll see these are all in memory of deceased Republican prisoners from the Greater Clonard area, right? Going right back to the 1916s, 1920s, right up to the 1970s. So you can see there's always been fighting for Ireland and the freedom of Ireland throughout the whole time. So you'll get to see that. Right on the wall, different names. And when you go on to the main thing, you'll see Clonard Martyrs, right, where he's standing. And that's people that fought for the IRA. Ogly Naharn, which means Volunteer of Ireland. And you see the ages on that stuff too, and that goes back to the 1920s in here. And then next one is civilians murdered by loyalists and British forces. You'll see like Philomena Hanna there, which was a friend of mine's aunt. She was murdered in a wee chemist just up the street. And she was murdered by a man from the Shankill called Stevie Top Gun McKeag. And he was in a chart to see how many Catholics he killed. And he got the nickname of Top Gun because he won the chart. He killed that many Catholics.
Fuck.
And he went to prison, and then when he was released from prison, he actually took an overdose in his house and died, you know, from a drug overdose. But he came on the back of a motorcycle and killed Philomena just at the end of the street here. She was a 26-year-old mother of two. And that was one of his targets, you know.
Was she significant in the community?
No, she was just a girl working in a Catholic shop at the end of a lane. So,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
The loyalist paramilitaries had this thing where they installed fear in the Catholic community because they thought everybody was in the IRA. But if they weren't in the IRA, if we kill them and to let them know that fucking install fear in them, do you know? So you were a legitimate target. Whereas the IRA says they weren't sectarian in the sense where they weren't, you know, just go out and kill Protestants, but Protestants would have died too. Like they blew up the fish shop on the Shankill Road, which was a Shankill bomb, because the UDA had an office up above it, and they heard there was going to be a meeting, but the two guys went in with the bomb, and the refrigeration was on remote control, which then detonated the bomb, and one of the bombers was killed, one was mutilated, but it killed like young kids and older people just in a fish shop on a Saturday afternoon. So things like that did happen. You know, Bloody Friday, where they blew up in Belfast City Centre, people died. Catholics died too, you know. So, although they say their legitimate targets was British forces, you know, police personnel, British government officials, it did happen. It did happen. So, you know, to say that it just happened on one side and not the other would be wrong. But it's like violence just causes violence, do you know what I mean? And you can see the ages on it. Like a lot of people, even the volunteers when they died, like, they wouldn't have been that old. You know, there's someone put on there because they died later on in life. But 40, 28, 18, 19, 33, go down, 40.
Five.
There was, 4. There was no sort of discrimination for age or anything. And you get to see remnants of that in Gaza now, like, you know, where kids are dying and...
You're just looking at the years, like you see...
Yeah, well, Philomena Hanna...
72, 71.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know, Philomena Hanna is along here. There she's there, 1982, 26-year-old mother too. And how I know that is because my friend in school, that was his aunt. And her wee girl was making her first Holy Communion the week later, and I remember seeing the wee kid in the dress and all, and their mummy's fucking just been killed. You know, so... That one hit home at me because I knew she was nothing. She wasn't involved in anything. She was just shot for being a Catholic, and I was like, fucking hell, it was somebody like murdered for
And how you got 98 there as well.
Yeah.
When did this when was this?
Well, after 1988, they started making these gardens, as I said, to you, as a way of remembering
Is it
volunteers.
similar to the
and
one
things.
we saw just before?
Yes.
Okay.
And sort of every battalion in the area would have one, and then every area would have one, and it's a way of showing everyone that died in the area, you know, without it being a mural with a man with gun or violence and stuff like that. It's a memorial garden, you know, and the people of the area, they put up the money and the upkeep and look after.
I was saying, because it looks
It's spotless.
pristine, you've got
yeah, you know, so it is one of them ones where it's kept that way, and people have respect for it, and that's the way to do it, like, you know.
Yeah. So that
There is August 1969 was when it all, like, the Catholics were marching for civil rights, so there were civil rights marches, which they were inspired by like the Americans and civil rights marches in America, and the Catholics were like, let's march for civil rights to get votes and get houses and jobs and stuff like that, and the Protestants were like, these fucking Catholics are raising up, we're gonna have to put them in their place, so they started burning the middle houses, and this was the epicenter of it all, so that kicked it all off, basically.
So what's this fence? Oh no, it does.
So this is the wall continuing on down the Falls Road.
Yep.
You know, and it continues on down. There's another 2 gates compared to the gates that we had, and it continues up that way onto the mountain, and it goes right down to the city centre, and then it stops like at a college, and there's a motorway.
So what fascinates me is years ago, I think I might have told the story on Mudblood though, but when I was at the Empire, and there was that fella who came up to me after the show, and someone was saying that they could tell from their accent they were from Falls Road.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we say mucker and they say mate.
right.
They say H and they say H and we say H. You know, so there's wee simple.
Isn't Catholics Falls Road the Catholic side?
Yeah.
And it still sounds. You're saying the Protestants say
H
H.
and we say H.
And I've heard about the toasters.
Yeah, in the cupboard, which I keep a toaster in the cupboard, so it's a fucking bit mad, like.
Yeah, well, because that's what I was going to say, like, so family's all Catholic and they keep their toast in the cupboard.
Yeah, so I mean that's a waves tale, isn't it? That's their eyes are closer together and we smell like sour milk, you know. There's a lot of fucking different things you can fucking say. But the reason for Mudblood, the Mudblood podcast, like me and Willie, Protestant and a Catholic, but Willie's granny's Catholic, you know. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
My point is, like, there's nobody's a fucking pureblood. It's like fucking Twilight. Who the fuck's a pureblood? There's nobody's a fucking pureblood. And so if you do your fucking ancestry, like, it was fucking so funny because I found that, like, my ma's fucking side of the family are massive Republicans, right? And I mean massive Republicans. And I done the fucking DNA, and it turned out they fucking moved to England and fucking married into a load of English people in Yorkshire. And then came back, and I'm like, fuck me, we're fucking part English, you know?
Yeah.
And they're such Republicans, so it's like nobody's pure blood. And then my dad's side, my dad was adopted, but he had, like, his great-great-great-granda was a fucking war hero, you know, for the Brits, and big fucking well-to-do family, and I'm like, holy fuck, like, nobody's a fucking pure blood.
Well, this is what I was saying about Mrs. earlier, and Mike Rice made the joke of like, oh, so the blood's pure because all 4 of her grandparents are Irish. And then I said to her I was doing a joke about her, because she was basically talking about when she was a kid. When she was 3, her grandparents all had the Irish accent, right?
Yeah.
And her parents all got a London accent, or from that part of London they're from.
Yeah.
And she said, as a 3-year-old, I can't wait until I'm older and I get an Irish accent. She thought old people had Irish accents.
Yeah.
Right? She's only 3. And I think it's really sweet. And then I was thinking, and I said, oh, because, you know, your parents, I thought the term is past.
I used to be the Celtic bar. It's closed.
All right.
Yeah, they wouldn't
Brains.
buy.
That's a good name.
They wouldn't fucking buy any players.
Well, I said to her, like, your parents have you know, plastic paddies. That term. I'm like, what does that mean? She said, I'm fucking recycled plastic, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fucking insane. I done a gig in London. I have a bit in one of my shows where I done a gig in London, and it was an Irish bar, and I turned up and the doorman looked like Finney Jones, and he sounded like Finney Jones, and he's like, "Oh, Paddy, you fucking cunt." And I'm like, "Well, what about you?" And he was like, "Up the fucking raw." And I was like, "No." Because that voice saying it,
It's wrong. It's just feels wrong, doesn't
it didn't. That voice growing up to me was fucking get in the fucking floor, you fucking Irish cunt, you know. So
Yeah.
when I went into the bar, there was
Did you
all.
say that to you on the street as well?
Oh mate, you've no idea. But we had the British Army on the
Fucking
streets,
hell.
like walking to school, they emptied our school bags out.
How old?
Like fucking from the age of fucking 7 up.
7.
Yeah, they fucking were there, like, you know, and don't get me wrong, but I knew no different. Like, the British Army were as part of the fabric, you know. We seen men with guns on the streets all the fucking time, so it wasn't a big deal. Like, we drive down the motorway now, my kids see an army jeep where they're going from barracks to barracks, and they go, "Oh my God, look at that!" And you're going, "What the fuck? Like, that's nam." They used to drive about hanging out of the jeeps with fucking guns, so it was no big deal to us. So that stuff didn't really fizz us.
Well, it's like
I didn't know any fucking different, you know.
So my mate's a cop. Well, was a copper back in Adelaide.
And this is the Falls Road, by the way, which
Oh, yeah.
you'll see there's tricolours up now. They're normally not up anymore. I think that's fucking the guys for the immigration are doing that now. But you can see a big difference between the two sides. Like, there's no doubt about it.
And my mate, who was he was a copper in Adelaide. He was this new guy had come over from Belfast, and he moved to Adelaide. And I was saying, "Oh, you've moved to a pretty rough area of Adelaide," and it is a rough area of Adelaide. They're working in a lot of drugs and crime and stuff. And apparently, he was like, didn't bat an eye. He was like, "Mate, we had a rocket go through the front of our police station." So, and all the guys in Adelaide were just like,
What?
"Oh,
Yep.
okay." Like he's come from like
Oh,
fucking war.
yeah,
You know
it
what
was,
I mean?
well, yeah, of course it was. And he's probably not fucking telling any lies.
Nah.
You know, like, it was like, the Jeeps are still fucking bulletproof and fucking rocket-proof and stuff like that. You know, obviously they don't want to replace them. But the cars still have bulletproof windows and stuff. So
Fucking hell.
it's just not as bad as it was, but I wouldn't say it's 100%. You know, it's just not the way it was. Like, Divis Tower, which was the tallest building in Belfast, that had an army barracks on it, and I joke because that's where we come from originally, and I was like, we were that poor, everybody thought we were minted because we had a helicopter pod. It wasn't fucking ours, because the only way the Brits could get on the top to the base was by helicopter. So every day there was like 3 or 4 helicopters above it dropping stuff off.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just, and all that military stuff's starting to go away now. The old police stations they're still fortified, but they're painted bright colours, you know, and there's not as many of them. There used to be a British Army base or a police station every couple of 100 yards, and that's not the case anymore. They've started to take them away, you know. There's the Beachmount Avenue, Easter Rising mural on the side of there.
Renamed the RPG Avenue.
So,
What?
RPG Avenue.
Is that what you called it?
yeah, because they RPG'd an army jeep there, police jeep, and fucking murdered them. So they call it RPG Avenue.
Fucking
It was done by like a bunch of guys who were like 18, 17. So
Did they get done for it, or?
yeah, they went to prison and stuff like that, yeah. So up there, see where the tricolours are coming out of that building up there? That's a rock bar. And the reason why I'll show you it is because it was owned by Paddy McCourt and Niall McGinn, that played for Celtic, 2 players, and my friend who was a football agent. Well, they took it over. But in the side of it, there's a big hole where a guy came up to the top of the road here and shot an RPG at the bar. And it hit the side of the bar, and there's a hole. It didn't go into the bar, it just went into the side of it. And in Belfast, a rocket is somebody who's nuts. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So they says that's the only rocket that couldn't get into the rock bar. But also on the side of that, Charlie Tully, the man from Belfast that played for Celtic, signed his contract on the windowsill of that bar to join Glasgow Celtic from Belfast Celtic.
Really?
And he lived just at the end there. There's a plaque on the side of his house. My dad helped get it put there. And he's one of Celtic's most famous players. And he played for Belfast Celtic, which were as big as Glasgow Celtic. And this was their stadium down here. It's now called the Park Centre, turned into a supermarket. and they left the league because of the sectarianism towards their players, like players getting attacked and the fans and stuff like that, and the prejudice. And then there used to be a massive football stadium here, and that was Belfast Celtic in there.
Now it's
The Park Centre.
wow. Well, people, did the fan base from that just go for Glasgow?
Travelled over then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is a controversial point here, because this is where a Catholic area then goes across a motorway into a Protestant area, right? And this is one of these things that they spent money on art to try and, demilitarize the area. And I don't even know what the real name of this. The Sphere of Hope or fucking something like that. But this is how divided this city is, because the people on the falls, they give nicknames to it. So these are called the Balls of the Falls. But the ones over here are Protestant. They're the village. And they call it the West Eagles, because the road's the West Link. Because they don't want to say the Balls of Falls. So that's how divided the city is. Even the nicknames are fucking decided on the thing.
So tourists, depending which side they're talking to,
will get a different name for that. The West Eagles or the Balls of the Falls. And as you can see, there's the flags up, so now you're entering into another Protestant area. But this is how close they are. Like, it's not like we're so far away. It's not the next town. There's Rangers pads on the wall. You'll see all the graffiti for UVF, UDA. The flags are up, and then now all right, well, okay, we'll change sides again here.
And they're still having meetings and...
Yes, I mean, these groups aren't going to give up, and they'll get money to form community groups and stuff like that, but they still run the areas, Well, I hope you learned something from it.
Yeah. A lot.
There's a lot to get in. 800 years of history. There's a lot to get in. And but I hope that you have a wee insight into Belfast and the way it is.
Yeah.
Like a friend of ours who's a comedian, I'm not even going to mention him, but he moved to Belfast from Armagh, the country. And he moved into a house here in Donegal Avenue. And I came down to pick him up to go to a gig, and he says, I'm just back from a run, and he was wearing his Armagh GAA top, and I was like, are you fucking insane? You cannot wear that down here. And I was actually that worried about him that I came and got him on the 11th of July when they light the bonfires here, because I says they will burn him out on that night. And I took him up to my house in West Belfast. I was that worried. And he was like, you'd be fucking grand, sure, I'll go out for a pint, nobody fucking know me. And I'm like, you've no idea. That is enough to get you burnt out.
Wow.
That still happens.
Well, what colour is the top he was wearing?
Orange. So he does joke, I can't take his joke, but he does say, I'm an orange man. What I mean is I'm an Armagh GAA fan,
Yeah, right.
And he lived in there, and you see, look on the wall, locals only. So...
Wow. It just... There's so much history. So much.
Do you know when people put up in their thing, look, there's King Charles and his man, and the royals on the wall, so you can see, you can see the curbstones still have remnants of the red, white and blue paint. I joke that they don't paint them anymore because they've got fat. You look out, you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Well, they got rid of the curb colours. Why did they do that?
They've got fat, they can't bend down anymore.
Okay. Right.
There's the Battle of the Somme. Yo-ho!
I do find it really lovely how communities all upkeep these memorials.
Yeah.
And invest in it. And all the ones we've seen have just been immaculate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's a level of respect for something, so...
Well, what's this in here?
Hospital. Now, I don't know you're a Protestant, although we've been friends and stuff, but I'm going to have to shoot you.
This is how the story ends.
But I'm being nice, I'm bringing you to the hospital. We'll kneecap you just... But But it's like when you put the Celtic stuff up, I sent you a message and I was like, I did not know you were a Celtic member.
Oh, yeah, you were so excited.
I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And the same with Mark Jennings. I didn't know he was a Celtic fan until he told me. And
It's the only football team that I followed since I was a kid because it was just our team. Do you know what I mean? And
did you love having Ange Postecoglou as the manager?
oh, mate,
He
having an
was so
Aussie at the helm,
He was so fucking good too.
it was great.
And we've had some cracking players from fucking Australia. Scott McDonald.
Tom Rogic.
Tom Rogic was fucking great for 60 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'd fucking take him back right now.
I know we've lost a few at the minute.
But no, it's mad that you have that connection. Like, you know, they're like, fucking Celtic, yay.
Go over and do something with it.
We should.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah, no, we definitely should go to a match.
Oh, that would be class.
I
I'd
brought
love
William
that.
till the Celtic match. We were over doing a live pod, and I brought William till the Celtic match, and his face the whole time. It was so fucking funny. And we won like fucking 6-0. Well, he's like, oh, you fucking told. I walked in the ground and went, he's a fucking fraud. I'll do the same with you. Do you know that carrots are orange because of King Billy?
That what?
King Billy.
What's orange?
Orange carrots are orange because of King Billy. Did you know that?
What do you mean?
They changed the colour of them for him to commemorate him. Carrots are traditionally like purple.
No, stop that.
I swear to God, and I thought it was one of them facts.
You're not having me on.
No, 100%.
Because you know I was in a cult, so I'm easily split.
I was in a cult too. It was called the IRA. But no, but genuinely, and I was like, that's not true. And then Googled it, and it's fucking 100% true.
That's wild. So everywhere in the world.
Carrots are orange now because they were traditionally fucking purple, but they changed them till orange, and I don't know how the fuck they done it, but that was for Prince William of Orange. I swear to fuck.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane? Like, that's a mad fucking fact. Like, if you watch Bugs Bunny, part of that, you watch Bugs Bunny, the fucking carrots are orange.
What is your association with public transport and taxis?
Most of them were alright. No, I worked in the black taxis on the Falls Road, so buses would have been burnt on the Falls Road, and people had no way of commuting because they would have burnt them and put them across the road as a barricade. So they set up a taxi association in West Belfast, and the men would have got their cars and picked people up, and they would have had in this car fucking, you would have been 3 different people.
Random people, like.
And it was run like a bus service, so there was like 8 areas of West Belfast, and you picked up and you says, I'm going to Turf Lodge, I'm going to Trimberg, I'm going to fucking Lanadown, and people for that area get into your car and you drove and they all paid you a bus fare, and it was called the West Belfast Taxi Association. And then they went from cars, they went over and got the London cabs because you could fit 6 people in.
Yeah.
And then they worked as that. I, after I got my finger bit off, started working as a taxi man on the Falls
You
Road.
said bit off.
Yeah. Was working as a doorman and got my finger bit off.
Oh, right.
And I'm a joiner by trade, a carpenter by trade too. So I couldn't work. I lost my business. And it's just after getting married, like 2 months, and lost everything. And a few of my friends worked in the taxi association. My father-in-law, he was a black taxi man. He says, you can use my taxi at night time. So I started working in the black taxis. And then now the British always try to get rid of that taxi company. This September is the end of the taxis. They're now gone, their insurance and all stopped.
Yeah.
Some of them still do tours in the black taxi, which is what I used to do. But a lot of them went into the bus service or working for the hospital trust because they're all drivers. So that guy was driving the blood car, waved at me because he knows me from the taxis. That guy used to drive a black taxi, drives a bus now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so that's why a lot of
I was going to
drivers.
tell him, because every cab that went past everybody, they were like, beep, and you wave, and I'm like, fucking hell. Like, I'm like, and it's like everyone.
Yeah.
They all know you.
Yeah, they all know me. Yeah. So that's basically where.
Mate,
Glad you enjoyed it.
thanks for having me, man.
Good to have you.
I appreciate it. It was good
Hope
fun.
you enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Tell your friends, tell your family. No, tell other comedians about it because we're gonna try and do quite a bit of it. It was good to have you on. You're the first Australian.
Yes.
So yeah, so it was good to have you on. I'm glad you
Thanks for
enjoyed
having
it.
me, man. I learned a fucking lot.
Now, what tends to happen is when you do the tour and now you've been out, you do know now you're in the raft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like
I didn't want to say it early on. Didn't want to reveal the cards, but already was indoctrinated to that a while ago.
This is a balaclava. Just haven't folded up. But I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Listen, let's watch out for the next one. If you haven't seen this, man, go and see him. His shows are selling out in Belfast big time. So definitely get on the scene. Go and see Thomas Green. Ah, Ryan.
Thanks, man.
Poet and I didn't know it.
What's that?
I says I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Right, bro? Listen.
No problem.
No problem.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
you soon.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.